Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk, everybody. We're broadcasting live from Austin, Texas, at Applied Intelligence Live with our correspondent Stephanie phoning in from Bandera, Texas.
Yes,
This is the center of the tech universe, and I'm in gray, rainy Seattle, Cloud City. So I'm going to hand it over to the dream team in Austin. There, how goes it, guys?
You know what? It's awesome. I'll tell you what I'm really looking forward to. They got some food trucks out there.
I love it.
Yeah, shawarma. He's looking for the shawarma.
I'm going direct to the tacos because part of my career here in Austin is to assess the quality of Mexican food.
It's important.
yes, yeah.
Important.
Did you guys pick a place for this evening that you're gonna dine together?
No.
You know what? If you guys don't book something, I'm just going to take you to El Rancho. We're going to have queso dip.
That's
El
Rancho is legit.
Yeah, I went to Moonshine last night, and it was awesome.
And moonshine is nice.
Yeah,
moonshine.
That's awesome. So I land at 5:30 today, their time, your time,
well,
and then I'll just meet you guys wherever.
And I won't see you guys until early in the morning. So
early.
So if you have sessions going on, I know that some of you guys had sessions that were kind of being moved around or whatever. So I will look at the schedule and try to make sure to attend some of your guys' sessions.
Tomorrow's one of those. I'm chairman of the day at 10 on the connectivity stage. Then Rob comes in at 10:30 to take the panel over while I go to the other stage for another panel. Then I come back, and then Rob goes over to the other panel. And then this knucklehead back here has got multiple panels today and tomorrow. But, one of the things, even though it's called applied intelligence, the IoT aspects of this thing are still there, right? So this was IoT world. There's still a fair amount of IoT involved in it. They mentioned it again this morning on the keynote. It's gonna be an interesting parlay because Rob, as we know from last year, when we had our board meeting here, because Rob and I and Bill, we sit on the board of Informa for the show, and last year I think was this little transition. Now they made a huge transition to the AI and applied intelligence, and IoT hopefully does not take a back seat.
But it can't. IoT can never get back into any of that stuff because without IoT, you have nothing to apply AI to.
Correct. Exactly.
That's good.
Oh, go ahead, Stephanie. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, I was gonna you finish your statement, and then I want to hear what sessions you guys are running.
IoT, like Bill, Steve said, industrial IoT, all about platform data normalization, right? Pulling data from all these industrial assets or robots or PLCs or databases. And last year, I haven't had a chance to walk the floor as much today, but I'm excited to. Last year, when I was talking to a lot of the AI providers, they had said, how are you getting data to your system? How are you feeding this, right? And I got two answers. Microsoft does that for us, or customers will do that for us. And so now I'm curious if I go back a year later and say, are you sticking with that? Our customers are just going to serve up all the data to your AI system on a platter? Or do you realize that you're going to have to turnkey that and implement that into your solution stack?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you'll have to fill us in on what you see and what you hear and what's changed.
Yeah.
That sounded like a real non-answer there, Ryan, from those customers. Microsoft. There's some access databases on a 386 PC somewhere, and that's going to give us the data that we need.
Only in Austin, Michael Dell's personal 386.
Exactly.
Hey, Rob, did you check to make sure that your data wasn't involved in that 38 terabyte debacle that happened yesterday?
It was absolutely involved. Of course.
It was the originator.
I just wanted to make sure.
I missed the 38 terabyte debacle.
I have to put food on the table, whatever it takes, guys. So,
We're in the middle of a live session. I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you, though.
Excellent.
Oh, we have new people trying to join the panel, huh?
Yeah.
For $1 million, they can join the panel and buy a T-shirt.
Okay, guys. So I want to hear what your sessions are. Maybe start with Steve.
So I'm chairman of the day on the connectivity stage, and so that's really about how are all these IoT devices and things getting connected and the options that are there. We're talking about different use cases around it. So it's an all-day thing, and then I have a panel on healthcare, and then I have another panel on with my guy Rob. Danny Digg is here from PPI Center
That's
R&D
awesome.
from NSF, where we're talking about the academic and integration to the public world. How much development is being done. So it's a full day tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be one of those, get on the plane and I need a beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, who's next? Hey, Bill, what are you doing? I'm assuming smart cities and some other things.
Yeah, they suckered them into that.
Yeah. So I got at 11:20 today, I've got creating a strategy for citizen engagement. Then at 1:55, I've got the evolution from digital twin to cognitive digital twin. You don't want to miss that one.
I want to see that.
Nice.
And Rob, you're not here, so you can't throw stuff at him or say anything.
Yeah, I'm missing that part. And then at 3:40, I've got innovation redefined, diversity as the fuel for driving innovation.
Because he knows nothing about diversity.
Diversity.
Nothing.
You got the right one, baby. And then
Nice.
is how AI and smart infrastructure, digital twins, quantum computing, and more will transform industry and enterprises.
Is that like a 3-hour talk?
Hey, they got all the terms in that title, didn't they?
Yeah. Is that a show title? Is that what it's going?
That is. And then at 2:40 tomorrow, I'm on the headliner stage with Autonomy Institute talking about what is happening in Austin, Texas.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Like that one.
The only thing that Bill is missing is a session on at what temperature and for how long to cook brisket, and that would just complete it.
I'm gonna throw that in on what's happening in Austin.
We're
Right.
brisket business. It's booming.
Yeah, because you use a meat thermometer.
That's right.
I had the manual data acquisition. No.
He's got a meat monitoring hashtag.
I can tell you what's happening in Austin, Texas. The Longhorns beat Alabama. That's what's happening. Boom. Hook 'em. That's the only thing that matters. All that other stuff's just conversation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Bill, is that all? I mean, is that all
Is
you
that
have?
all? Yeah, that's it. Just that right there.
I'm thinking at some point tomorrow, Bill's just going to hand me his badge for a session and be like, can you be Bill for an hour? I can try.
Just go.
I think that's going to happen.
Out. He's tapping out to
I
go
think it's
eat
going to
brisket.
happen a lot. I think it's going to happen a lot, Ryan.
That's funny.
Oh my
Rob, you got some sessions too.
So I'm speaking at 2 different conferences tomorrow.
What?
The first conference is a virtual one. It's Future Digital Twin. And I'll be on a panel with the father of digital twins, Dr. Michael Grieves, and a few other guys, mostly from the oil and gas industry. And so that's happening tomorrow. And then I'm going to be in Mr. Brummer's track. I'm going to do a deep dive on 5G, everyone's favorite topic that they love to throw stuff at. I may or may not do any other sessions. I've built a session on connection management platforms. Don't know if or where that one is because a lot of stuff started getting reorganized. And then may or may not be on some panels that's getting reorganized. Every day I refresh the agenda and send emails to Victoria to find out what the real story is. And so that's ever changing. The only one I know for sure is the 5G deep dive. Everything else is kind of fluid. So we'll find out.
Rob's going to sneak away and go to 6th Street.
Yes.
Well, you going to be doing any network slicing?
I'm going to talk about network slicing.
Okay.
It's like the ninja thing. Yeah.
Brisket slicing. Come on.
Just see servers, gateways.
You know, I don't know what's happening, but like I am loving like Rob's monotone approach to this, a few minutes. Like I feel like I should be sharpening my knives and listening to Rob at the same time or something.
Ginzu. We get you talk IoT, you get a Ginzu.
Oh, there it is. I
Wait a minute, Steve. Did you used to sell knives?
Hey,
Door to
Cutco,
door.
baby. I was a Cutco guy.
You're cutting like cans, watch me cut this can of it.
Tupperware and Cutco and IoT. Isn't that a prerequisite?
Every time.
Yeah.
The first time I ever met Mr. Brummer was when he knocked on my door and I opened it and he threw dirt on my carpet in the house. And then he came in with his new vacuum cleaner.
His Hoover.
Yes. And so I was like, this guy's a hustler.
And
you know what? You know who likes hustlers like that? Mark Cuban loves hustlers like that when you're on Shark Tank.
My gosh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
Start breaking my service. Be like, you put a sensor on that. You put a sensor on that.
Well, I mean,
Exactly. So I do
walk in and start throwing data.
Create the problem and then be there when they need the solution.
I do have some other.
We're moving back. It's called how top down, bottom up. This is problem first.
Ryan, as someone who's so close to control equipment, I wouldn't be saying that too loudly, please.
There's nobody in the room.
Yeah, man. Don't be creating problems.
All of my opinions are mine.
If there was nobody in the room, it wouldn't matter. There's nobody in the room.
So I do have another announcement to make in my monotone voice that Mr. Vasquez is loving. And I should seem more excited about this. So my company, Digital Insights, and the greenhouse digital twin platform I built has been acquired. And so I had an exit. So all that work.
Paying for
yeah.
Dang it. And I forgot to invest, Rob.
I know. So all that time writing code to, I felt like, gosh, you kind of take all that time designing Azure IoT, designing Lumada, building Thunderstruck at Ericsson, and put it all together. And so that it's the greenhouse digital twin platform, and so, I spent a lot of time building that thing. And as you might remember, it was really targeted at sustainability and decarbonization, stuff like that. Obviously a lot of these platforms are built generically. You could use it for whatever use case, but I, certainly have that in mind. So anyway, anywho,
congrats.
Thank you so much.
Can you tell us anything about it? So the company that I've been working with, consulting and joined Red Bison Networks, they're doing the acquisition, and so that's a nice thing. Nice double dip. I like the double dip move.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're in the prop tech space and focus primarily on putting in the high-speed networks into buildings, and want to do a bunch of other stuff like IoT digital twins of buildings and everything that lives in buildings and all that whole world. And so it made sense to pick that up. And so it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting stuff.
So are they looking to dive into like building management, building control system, HVAC, energy efficiency, all of that stuff?
Baby steps, but yeah. I mean, we're not going to build building management systems like Siemens or Honeywell or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we can certainly wrap around them. We can certainly put our own sensors and stuff like that. Right now in the commercial building space, anyone who listens to the news, commercial offices are suffering right now.
Yep.
The whole country is about 50% occupied. The work from home thing, people are not wanting to come back to the office. And so as you can imagine right now, a lot of these buildings are anything to cut costs is kind of their deal. And as all of us IoT folks know, we know how we can use IoT to cut costs in all kinds of things, and treat IoT as a new employee. And so yes,
we need to know, as a newly minted millionaire, are you going to buy like waterfront property across from like Charles C. Money's house and put like a big flashing IoT was what we needed to do 20 years ago? Let him know.
I think so.
David, that's why he's talking about Mark Cuban. He's now his best friend.
Yeah. I'm just going to say
they're in the same level money wise.
It turns out I was right.
David, I'm just getting him. I just want him to pay for freaking dinner. You're looking for him to buy a McMansion.
Well, I thought Tell It was paying for dinner, right?
Oh,
I got it.
Wow.
See, the thing is, Steve, that the
This is my value to the group. I know everyone was wondering. It's like when the check comes, oh, this is right.
Yeah. The check for queso and margaritas.
Why is there queso and margaritas on this expense report, sir?
Brummer was there.
Yeah, that's why. I do want to show you a picture. You may not be able to see it very well, but it's related to queso, and I love it. Well, let me get close to the camera here.
Ooh.
It looks like a marijuana leaf. You're in Austin. Oh.
It says every kiss begins with queso.
Oh, I love it.
There you go.
I mean, but that's assuming that the other person likes queso too. Otherwise, like, you're not gonna get too many kisses, man.
That's true. That's true. You're right.
Awesome.
You're right. What's going on with you, Mr. Vasquez?
Having
some Elgo man.
It's been super cool because I've spent at least 2 days a week with customers, in their environment. And it's funny. It's like new things and nothing new. The whole thing of like, hey, there's tech to solve this problem. Like, what are you gonna do about it? And the fights around, where are we gonna get the money from? And with that, I'll give you. I will obfuscate a story. But you'd be shocked at how many world-class $100 billion organizations that make things have no idea where their things, the tools that they need to make those tools, where the hell they are. They just don't know. And you have situations where, dude, it's
100% agree. Yeah, every factory I walk into. Yeah.
But then the funny things that happen, for example, if Ryan was operator at station 1 and I'm David at operator station 2, well, Ryan comes in and he's looking for, I don't know, some sort of precision tool that he needs to do his job. He doesn't find it. What does he do? Man, Vasquez has one over here. Let me go start doing the job. Now I get in and it's this domino effect. Then you have the heavy regulated industries issues where, say, you're making a part for something that flies into air or into space, and there's something wrong with that part. You need to be able to run an audit and find out what tools touch that part. Where is it? And if you can, it can void a government contract. And anyway, all of these things come down to you're paying people to look for things and they have no idea and you accept it. And did you know that there's tech for that? So it's been super fun, just having these conversations, but the toughest problems are the most ridiculous one. We just don't know where the things are. No idea.
David's like Houston. We have lots of problems.
I've got a tough problem though. And I'm sure that you can help me with this, David. I want you to stop using your high school photo in LinkedIn.
Bill, David, Black and Dominican, we don't crack. I look the same. So whatever, man. Okay. I put on that jacket and it looks like it was yesterday.
I knew it. I knew that was going on.
Amazing.
David's aging backwards.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, at least
there's only one old guy here, but I'm not going to say anything about the guy that plays basketball
and looks as good as I do
and wins.
He's a champion. He's got medals and awards and trophies and everything.
Steve is putting 45-year-old people to shame. Okay,
dunking on the masses.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I just noticed that I did not pack a sport coat.
You know what? It's okay. You're in Austin. They don't do that kind of crap.
They don't do that stuff.
You're fine. You're safe. Hey, I got to jump off, guys. I will catch y'all in the morning. In the morning, I'll see you. Some of y'all.
Early.
Bye, guys.
You're early.
All
what
right.
does early mean?
9 a.m. in Austin.
Okay. 9 a.m. in Austin. All right. That sounds good.
Rob,
Excellent.
since you're going to be talking 5G tomorrow,
Yes.
are you guys, there's lots of stuff's coming up for neutral host networks in the context of, 5G, and finally that, coming around. It's like, it's back to the end user doesn't really care. Just, make things work. And no, I'm not going to go carrier exclusive here. Make it work. So I've seen a few of them, pop into my feed. Is that something you guys will be talking about tomorrow too?
It is now.
As of right now, definitely.
I didn't approve his notes for tomorrow, so I don't know. You can add it to it.
I'll just do 30 seconds on neutral host, and people are like, "Who cares?"
I am curious about adoption rate right now, right? Because everyone's been talking about the feasibility of private 5G in these manufacturing facilities, but investing in the actual infrastructure, getting all of your OT assets and all of these different things connected to the 5G, right? The 5G.
The 5G.
That's like the IoT.
It's tough, right? So how are we going to take these devices like handheld barcode readers that people use for traceability? How are we going to connect the machine vision systems? How are we going to connect the PLCs? And then what is that value difference versus a traditional line network, right?
Well, can you tell us when your Telet 5G modules and CBRS modules are going to get down to a reasonable price?
I cannot, but I can tell you all about the software. I
don't think that manufacturing facilities are going to be the first movers here. I think it's going to be utilities and cities, just from a connectivity perspective, and the handoff is going to be the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
From an edge box.
Aggregate over local Wi-Fi network, and then push via 5G for remote.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's tough for the private 5G in the factory use case because it has to scale so fast.
Exactly.
And there's so many different devices you're going to have to think about bridging. And what's the value if you use a local private, like 900 megahertz CBRS network to aggregate that and then push 5G?
A cameo coming in the door.
You lose.
Oh my God! Come here, sit down and introduce yourself to the world of IoT Coffee.
So
what is happening?
We got a guest appearance.
We've got Victoria.
Where are you at, Rob?
I'm at the Seattle airport.
Oh, wow. Of course you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello.
Headed your way.
So,
yeah, for sure. How's it going? How you doing? How you feeling today, Victoria?
What's going on?
Well, I'm alive, breathing. It's game time, showtime. Everything's been going really well. I mean, the whole morning's been very smooth. No hiccups so far.
That's good.
All the good energy, especially Steve's bringing it for me.
Yeah.
This way. Yeah, it's been great. The opening session for Austin was really great with you and Jenna. So, yeah, good feedback so far. I like it.
Awesome.
Live it's here.
It's live. Look, I'm orange. That's what Austin's all about.
Where's your cowboy hat? Are you bringing your cowboy hat?
I'm not. I totally spaced. I didn't bring a sport coat or a cowboy hat or anything. I'm just wearing burnt orange.
Okay. We'll accept that.
Yeah. I figured I would just hang out with your buddy Vince Young and do a session.
I forgot to invite him this year.
Victoria, give us the IoT Coffee Talk world a little idea this week. What the next 2 days from an IoT perspective? What do you think is going to be cool? What's going to be hot? What's going to be talked about?
Well, definitely Bill over here has a couple things with digital twins. It's happening on Headliners today. We have some cool things with quantum. IoT is involved in every way, so that's just going to be across the board. We have a lot of cool. Worley's going to be talking on some things. It's going to be a lot. There's so much content in my head because I've been building it for the past 10 months. So if you have specific questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, you guys just be here. Yes, come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, lots on digital twins, AI and IoT coming together, or embedded
stage tomorrow.
Connectivity is a really popular one. Definitely connectivity. So Steve's going to be handling that one.
Got 5G, tomorrow morning for me. Too.
Yes.
Wi-Fi is in the GBs.
Who is there? Okay, I think you guys are social there. Bill, Smart Cities?
Yeah, I'm next door.
Okay. All right, guys, I got to go produce some more.
Awesome.
It's a pleasure.
You're killing it. You're
I
killing
hope
it,
so.
Victoria. You're awesome. We'll see you soon.
Yes.
All right.
Cameo. All right. We see the excitement here at IoT Coffee Talk. We have people coming in the door, adding content and color.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Now we get to put her name in the LinkedIn postings and the YouTube postings, right? So that'll bring us 100,000 new followers.
That's how we work.
That's right. Exactly.
That's our currency.
I want to jump back to Ryan's last comment before the cameo about private 5G or any flavor of private, and the fact that whatever you deploy, if you're deploying another network, how are you going to justify that additional infrastructure that's going to live in parallel, allegedly, with the existing infrastructure? And let me give you a crazy but plausible answer. Remember when whoever coined the term shadow IT, where you had people right on the floor trying to be entrepreneurial, trying to do the right things, bring efficiency, reduce waste, but they were getting no love from the mothership and they just did things. I think that the shadow IT operators of the world are the ones that are going to manage to sneak these networkings. Why? Because when we start looking at, we all know who the big OEMs are, but you'd be shocked how many smaller shops the OEMs have acquired and they haven't gone through their IT transformation, meaning IT support for the line guys is just some dude that's got a couple of monitors in a stock room.
Yeah.
And these folks have no support, no way of connecting anything in the safe and approved way from corporate IT. And these are the guys that are having these conversations saying like, hey, if you can build me a separate isolated network where I can bring these things for connectivity, we are cooking. That's happening. The challenge is it going to scale? Because here's the reality. Once you have that network and your pilot or your proof of value is up and running, and now you want to bring it to all the machines, you're going to have to talk to the mothership. And what's that going to be like? Is it going to be a success? Or will they shut down your private network, but then give you fiber and give you connectivity, which if I'm the operator, why do I care? But anyway, these shadow IT projects are going to drive some of these discussions because something that remains really attractive on private cellular over Wi-Fi is that with one antenna, I can cover a lot of ground versus 10, 12 access points. And, we're talking about dollars and cents. It's so anyway, I just wanted to stir the pot because Surprise got me going.
I love the operator approach. I always like working where the operator, because that's where all of the magic's happening, right? That's where the value is being put together, understanding the process, getting feedback on where those improvements might be. And so I really like that. I'm just always looking at it from, okay, if you're putting a network in, that's always got to go up to the management approval, right? And so some companies, they can sneak this stuff in, maybe name it something that's not IoT, you have to maybe rebrand. But yeah, I'm eager to see the 5G deployments in the factory and hoping that we can start seeing them more often here.
Let me add some color commentary to Mr. Vasquez's viewpoint here, his proposal that this shadow IT is going to percolate over to the networks. That's a lot harder to do the network thing than it is. So shadow IT, the rise of shadow IT for all of our audience who don't understand how that came, it used to be you had gatekeepers, you had the Star Chamber of Architects, we had to prove everything that happened in IT and all that kind of stuff. Then you saw the rise of SaaS companies, like Salesforce.com was the first big one. And with the rise of SaaS, they started bypassing IT altogether, and they went straight to the business units or the VP of sales and stuff like that, and finance. And they completely bypassed IT, and then people are just using Salesforce and using whatever, and it's just coming to them. And then the rise of the smartphone revolution and the apps. All of a sudden, yep, I'm building apps and we're bypassing IT, and it just kind of blew up. So I get that point of view. Can that happen in a world of hardware and networks and stuff like that? I don't know. So here's what I think. I remember when we did our Project X, our Skunkworks at Ericsson, to launch our first private 5G technology. That was called Industry Connect. And they looked like little smoke detectors. The thinking is the same as what you do today. So today, you've got broadband internet connection coming to your building. So maybe that's 1 or 10G private circuit, MPLS, fiber, whatever. And then inside the walls of your said building, whether it's a factory, a warehouse, a skyscraper, you've got a combination of fiber and Ethernet, right? And switches all over the place. If you're in a skyscraper, you're in a MDF telecom room where the internet comes at the bottom, and then you have telecom closets, IDFs all the way up. And that's a little different factories. So inside all the walls is still Ethernet, and still those little Ethernet connections. That's connection is where we currently plug in the Wi-Fi access points. And the number of Wi-Fi access points, as we know, is based on range of the Wi-Fi and the characteristics of that room or wherever it is. Especially it gets tricky on a factory floor with heavy metal objects and stuff, makes it weird. And so that plays a role. And so back to David's point, the number of Wi-Fi access points is driven by the fact that it has not as much range as the equivalent cellular small cell that would go in there. But with cellular, it still works the same. The walls are still hiding Ethernet cabling, Cat6 cabling, and there's switches everywhere. The drops, though, will plug into, a private 5G thing instead, right? And then, of course, you either have to get spectrum from an operator or you do CBRS, and you've got so much spectrum you can use for that kind of stuff. And so I can see how someone could just kind of plug that stuff in. It's like there's more cost and there's less cost. I get it. The less cost is I don't need as many, access points, small cells as I do with Wi-Fi. The other thing, though, is it's a whole lot more expensive technology than the commonplace off-the-shelf Wi-Fi that everybody understands today. I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a struggle. I think there's going to be, we've talked about this before, familiarity oftentimes gives an edge to things that people understand versus something that might be better. I remember posting something on LinkedIn about private 5G and the cost. And lots of people, like analyst friends of ours, was like, well, yeah, don't worry, it's only 10x more expensive than what you're doing today. And so, or 3x or whatever it is. Now when we think about pitching VCs and raising money and doing the stuff, and you're trying to build a better mousetrap, there's that old adage, your new mousetrap, it better be 10x cheaper or 10x faster or 10x better. I know that's ambiguous than the current thing in order for you to justify the rip and replace. And so a lot of folks will go, is this private 5G 10x whatever better?
Well, isn't it use case driven, Rob?
Yeah, it could be. But I notice use cases go out the window when the checkbook is looking only light.
And look, let's pick up on let's stay on the shadow IT scenario where I'm an operator, I'm going to be entrepreneurial, and I'm looking at, let's just call it a single site private something deployment, which is going to cost me X. And we all have an idea of what a two cell, one core of these things could cost. If I'm responsible, I need ROI, to Rob's point. Is it 10x? How am I going to pay for this? And this is where it gets tricky, because if it's private 5G to mitigate a lost labor use case, man, that's quite some time before you get a return. But if it's private 5G, because I can get a new production line up and running, because I was just quoted 96 days for an MPLS circuit. If you're still doing MPLS, that's another issue. But this is what's happening, right? And
MPLS is still faster than routing tables on switches, dude.
Exactly. And then on top of that, and here I'll throw it over the fence to Ryan. This is also introducing complexity, that in order for me to take good old Ethernet from this switch that's coming of this private, LTE 5G thing that I just built, I have to introduce some sort of gateway to talk to my machine. And depending on what it is, what's happening? Can I live with the added latency, with the added, overhead? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And, it's super tricky. And sometimes I do wonder if you're doing private 5G just to end up with another gateway, which is cost, just to add Ethernet. Like, dude, why don't you talk to the IT guy in the first place? Damn it. And
they say no all the time. They say no every time. No. They will not whitelist my devices. They will not give me access to the network. They will say security. They'll say, is your firewall outside the factory secure? Are your doors locked? Then they can't get locked. You can't get in the house. For use cases, David, I've been thinking about this a lot, because I think there are a lot of good use cases in the factory for 5G. I'm always looking at, just from my background, barcode reader, machine vision, and all the different PLC protocol stuff. But I actually had to take a step back this past week and look, okay, I also know the walkie-talkies that they're using in the factory are like $2,500 for a walkie-talkie and a base station, right? Think about how many walkie-talkies you see. Think about there's no data, there's no confirmation on the other end saying that they heard your request. It's a loud factory. You just are basically annoying them like, hey, are you coming? Hey, did you get my message? Hey. Well, think about if you put a 5G voice-enabled, request system, and then now you're able to not only analyze those requests, but you have a very scalable use case on the handset side, and then also on investing in the infrastructure. And once that infrastructure is in place, because 5G does so well with more devices, more bandwidth, you can do multiple use cases, right? So you have the infrastructure, and then that's a lot easier to justify the cost, just adding devices for maybe another application versus having to do all that custom engineering plus the infrastructure. It's kind of maybe easier for them to bite off in pieces, right?
So for the
Ryan, what other application do you see interesting for 5G?
Love the walkie-talkie one. Second one is for a lot of manufacturers with equipment that's already, it isn't on an OT network. And usually I see that for if there's a lot of individual presses or stations, and then they move around the floor plan a lot, right? So automotive is every year there's a minor or major model change depending on what work they have. So they have to retool, they have to rechange their process. That involves dropping lines, getting access, right? You put a 5G enabled connected machine on each one of those, you have unlimited possibilities for that kind of protocol things, right? You're just looking for power at that point. And so I think machine communications, having that for kind of flexible floor-space planning, and I think that's good. Walkie-talkies, all the sensors could very easily be on a 5G network. All your vibration, temperature.
But that's not possible with LTE? Is that not possible with LTE, with 4G?
It is, but the number of devices and assets in a factory, there's so many that you're either deploying multiple networks or you are having really delayed response time. So it's use case dependent for sure.
I got to believe it's going to be some of the video things that are on the manufacturing.
Okay, got it.
Any of the cameras,
I thought that's
cameras videos on the floor. Now the cameras that are doing measurements and counting and all kinds of other things, and inspections of welds and inspections of products and pieces on the manufacturing floor, that's got to be a huge 5G use case from a video standpoint and a data standpoint.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, what's the latency of RS-485? Because here's what I think. I think all you guys are totally full of shit. I think you're trying to hook a flux capacitor or a warp drive engine to the Flintstones car where they're pedaling with their feet, because that's what the real factory is.
Rob, we have all of the serial printer cables that we're trying to reuse with IoT. Okay, do not mess this up for us.
You guys are just creating a dream that's bullshit. Yeah. Yeah,
actually, Rob, I thought that Ryan was about to say that instead of walkie-talkies, they wanted to use pigeons.
And hey, all of a sudden, I just had a weird epiphany. As soon as Ryan said something about a $2,000 walkie-talkie, that sounds like money misappropriated, like when we had $400 toilet seats and claw hammers in the military. I should just be able to go to Radio Shack and get something for $10. Or I should go to Toys R Us and get a Mattel walkie-talkie for $2.
And I'm thinking I'm going back to my youth, and I'm just going to build another SMR business, and we're starting to go back to that if it's 2000.
I think so.
I am
messing around with this shit.
My business model. I want to cut. Okay.
I am going to bring seriousness to the walkie-talkie and the factory reshuffling thing. Because look, if we're just trying to justify, so today we can grab a Android or iOS smartphone for like even a 4-year-old device, and there's walkie-talkie SaaS out there that is a couple of bucks per license. So the argument is, instead of buying a hardened device from some really good OEMs that will set you back $1,800 a pop, I can go and buy a used device from a supplier friend of ours, throw them into a rugged case, and if I have 10 of these things at $2,000 a pop, I cut my costs really quickly. That said, I'll be shocked if that's the only use case that's going to pay for that infrastructure. So one thing that for folks who haven't been too many times in a factory floor that needs to be reconfigured, the amount of time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board Lounge area of American Institute.
Oh, that's Robert there. I'm like, welcome. The amount of time that it would take for new cable drops and rerouting power, you have expensive expert labor. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of planning. So if for you folks at home, if you could imagine your house, your apartment, your flat, wherever you live, if you imagine if everything was plugged into cable, power, and Ethernet, and you had to move things around, how long that would take. So the premise of doing this without the network component and just worrying about power, which will come from the floor, it is huge in automotive. So that would be a super cool thing to see, outside of the private wireless OEMs who are using this at their own factory. It'd be super cool to see this in the real world.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think it'd be a good use case for it. But you're right. Dropping a line, I've heard quotes $5,000 to $10,000 with a 2-month lead time. Right? Yeah. That's not feasible when you're starting up production. That's almost always the capital equipment is later than promised, especially since a few years ago, right? Yeah. Or so. And so you wait, you're trying to buy this time, and now you have to delay your project by a month and pay $5,000 to $10,000 each Ethernet drop. That doesn't make sense to me at all, right? That adds up very quickly when you're in a factory and you have thousands of assets that you may be connecting in some cases.
But we do need to know, I think it's waste, but from a business, from an internal business case perspective, this is budgeted. This is the cost of doing business. And when we have things that are the cost of doing business into a big operation, it is really tough to make someone realize, like, dude, like, you don't have to incur that cost. You actually, there's another way. But, it's such a leap of faith because this is how we've been doing it, right? I've been in business since we started running out of IPv4 IP addresses. I know what I'm doing.
Well, you're right. There's risk, right? And it's so competitive in manufacturing, and the margins have been eroding for years across any product that you're manufacturing with global competition. So taking that risk to potentially bring a solution where you're like, okay, I know I'm making $10 a day every day. If I implement this, I could make $15, but I might lose and lose out on 6 months of revenue or 3 months of revenue in extreme cases, right? But there's that calculated risk. Production downtime is so expensive for a lot of these manufacturers. You look at a final assembly in automotive, it's outrageous if you look at the service agreements that they force on their suppliers of machinery. And so, I think I'd like to see. I think it starts at the plant manager level, and it really has to be, because it's such a high level use case. And a lot of these things, you're like, okay, who feels that burden of not innovating, right? And who has that kind of purchasing power and pull through that can actually kick these kind of things off? And I haven't met a lot of plant managers that are very big risk takers, and maybe that's why they're in their position where they are now.
I think that as Stanford, Yale, and Georgetown implement IoT Coffee Talk in their curriculum, we will change this. We will change this very, very soon.
Yeah, I love those risk-averse guys when they trot out their intrinsically safe people. Give me a break. I've never seen a place blow up because they had a smartphone, whatever. It's all a bunch of BS. You don't have this $2,000 intrinsically safe device. Sorry, we can't guarantee anything.
Rob, the problem wasn't the device. It's just that they had a cigarette lit up.
I'm sure.
Or they didn't ground themselves, after running up from the carpet to touch the equipment. Yeah. That's what really happens.
Yeah, but 99 times out of 100, it's going to be okay. There's acceptable losses. We can remember the Darwin Awards.
Which will go on forever.
Yes, they will. There's plenty of bright people who will find themselves in that. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go try out my experimental aircraft today.
Hey,
John Denver.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, exactly.
The recurrent question that we usually have from month to month, and someone asked me, "Hey, do you know any IoT killer application? Is it already here or not yet?"
Email.
What
email?
What do you think, guys? What? IoT, I mean.
Oh,
Well, actually, your device sends you an email to let you know.
It's the problem with that question is it's so individualistic and customized to people's processes usually, right? And so people want to know this huge, new, innovative, secret IoT solution that they can implement into their very unique process that they developed, and also don't share all the info on, of course, for competitive reasons. And so I think we've had these home run use cases: predictive maintenance for vibration asset monitoring, home run.
Yeah, but how many asset tracking still is the number one IoT use case?
It is
in the world.
And if you call it IoT to a manufacturer, they'll run, right? Sometimes. So we have these very straightforward use cases, and that's got to be why it's the most popular one. But I always ask them, well, what's your process? What's your industry? And then kind of work from there. And but IoT is cool because you can just make everything up. You just once you know how to get the data and throw it around and the cost associated with it, you can build those use cases on the fly pretty much.
IoT just has a marketing problem.
Paging passenger Lord.
Well, something different. Industry 7.0, IoT, we're just wearing it out. We'll put it YOT.
I will vote David to bring back machine to machine. I think we need to all come back and go there.
I like that.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, but
M to M drinking talk.
Love it.
I will do it.
I love it. That's awesome, guys. Any other crazy notions today before we jump into our conference?
No, just looking forward to having you down here and hanging out, and looking forward to next week at Mobile World Congress, where IoT Coffee Talk will be live, and Marc, you'll be at Things Industries next week, I would assume, right? No?
Not that this week.
Is it this week? I thought it was next week. That I couldn't guess.
It might already be done even.
Really?
Yes, I thought it was this way. Who knows?
I thought it was next week. Anyway,
all right,
but we'll be live next. We'll be live next week.
Cooper and Reynolds.
Right, we'll be live next week at Mobile World Congress, Las Vegas. So you get to do IoT Coffee Talk with all of us knuckleheads live back-to-back weeks. So I think that's a first, actually. Right? I don't remember us being live in two shows back-to-back, but it also shows that, that here's what's going on in the industry. We got a lot of education going on, a lot of brand awareness and awareness of really cool use cases and new products and new awareness. And next week is sold out. The West Hall at Mobile World Congress is sold out, which is cool. I also heard that CES in January, that IMC built out another extension of their IoT pavilion area, and that's sold out too. So there's no more IMC booths at CES in January. So that's not an indicator. Nothing else is. I mean, it's still, there's 1,000 people here for this little show.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So pretty cool. We're
good stuff, man. We owe it all to you, Steve.
No, you don't. You know,
He's the man.
Yeah,
he's the man. I really do like your sport coat.
Thank you. I had no choice. I had no choice but to buy new ones, and my wife and I, Nordstrom, I got 3 of them, and I'm now going to start rotating the 3 of them until someone points out, going, "I've seen the same damn suit on you every freaking show."
Yeah, totally.
That's what happened. I literally, like a couple of shows ago, this guy comes up to me and goes, "Wow, you're wearing your classic blue suit." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You wear that suit you wear that sport jacket all the time." I'm like, I went home, wife, she's like going, "Nordstrom's, we're going to Nordstrom's."
Yeah.
You dropped some cash on some freaking
do you guys go into Nordstrom, pick something and pay for it, or do you guys just ran?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that video. Usually I go in with a bunch of my best friends. About 10 or 15 of my friends, we just kind of go in.
Yeah, because Dave, you definitely see the video of the tall, white, skinny Jewish old man from Jersey stealing, right? You've seen that?
He's the fastest guy. I'm like, oh, that's got to be Steve. He's hauling.
With the medal, with the blinking medal.
And then he don't as he was running out of the store.
We identified this tall, skinny white guy with a bling, with a big gold medal.
That's awesome, you guys. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Are we gonna have queso tonight? Is that what we're doing? Since we don't have a reservation.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. I'll text somebody when I land. I'll get my rental car and we'll just go to El Rancho. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Thanks so much for everybody joining us today on IoT Coffee Talk, the special Applied Intelligence Live edition of IoT Coffee Talk.
Baby.
With the dream team in Austin. And it is like 95, 97 degrees in late September there. So that's kind of strange.
It's only 86 right now. It'll be up to 90 later.
Wow. That's crazy. It's like 56 in Seattle right now, But, oh well. Anyway, we're weird up here. All right. We'll see you guys on the other side. We're out.
Everybody.
Cheers. Enjoy, guys.